Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Leverett Ball Show. And on this episode, I am joined by actor Laith Wallschleger. And Laith actually, he played the true character of Rob Gronkowski in FX series American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez. And it's funny because I guess you did such a good job during that I almost introduced you on the show as Rob Gronkowski. But you're not actually him. You were impersonating him. But done a lot of different acting. You're also a former pro football player yourself, which part of why you were such a good fit for that role. But I mean, what was it like, playing Rob Gronkowski and also being in a show that's about such a sensitive topic? It's about his former teammate Aaron Hernandez, who was a murderer. I mean, what was that whole experience like being in that?
It was very, very interesting. Because the role that I was cast in, it was so small. Like literally, the only thing they had scripted out for me was a photo shoot where I don't have any lines. I'm just clowning around. But whenever I get on set, I will go as far as they let me go. And so I like to improv a lot and just clown around. And because I know him so well, I know what he would do in certain situations. So it really made it easy for me to kind of come in there and just be the guy. And once they got a glimpse of that, they were like, oh, okay, maybe we can put him somewhere else in this show, because originally the scene that was so popular, that was supposed to be a conversation between Aaron and Tom, and they decided to put me in there instead. So it worked out for the best.
Yeah, and I think the one you're referring to, that you kind of went viral for that scene when you're laughing, and they say that the people said, like, that sounds exactly like Rob Gronkowski's laugh. But it's funny because obviously you've done a number of different acting projects, but as far as stuff related to Rob Gronkowski, you've also been his body double in a bunch of commercials, and you know him extremely well. It's funny because a lot of actors will say they study, if they're playing a real person in a movie or a TV show, they'll study that person. But you'd already learned, you know him extremely well from knowing him personally.
I've been studying my whole life. Yeah, man. We go way back. I've known him for over a decade. So it's on both the professional side and the friendly fun side too. So I've kind of seen the full Gronk range.
100%. Yeah, it's interesting. I had, just like a few years ago, I interviewed his brother Chris.
Yeah.
And heard about what he was like behind the scenes off the field and what it's like being part of that family. Literally every sibling was some type of professional athlete. Pretty cool group, and I guess you've gotten to know them pretty well. But you've been involved in a number of other acting projects, and you've been in All American, Paterno, MacGruber, among many other things. But your background is actually in football. You played some pro football yourself. You were in rookie minicamp with the Arizona Cardinals. You also played arena football.
Yeah.
When did you know that you wanted to transition into acting?
I want to say the first movie I ever worked on was a movie called It's Time, the Chucky Mullins story. We filmed that in 2016. I don't know. I think it came out on, it was one of those straight to DVD type movies back when they had DVDs. And I learned about it because let's be real, arena football, you're not going to make $1 million doing that, right? So you got to pay somehow. And in the off season, the guys would do stunts on TV shows and movies. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, So I remember the first time I ever did a movie, I drove from Tampa, Florida to Jackson, Mississippi. I slept in my car for a few hours prior to the rehearsal. Went out there, tried out for the movie. I got it. And I was like, okay, I met a guy at the tryout who lived in Jackson, Mississippi, and he let me stay in his basement for the 2 weeks that we filmed. And I remember I was so broke. I remember sneaking into Holiday Inns to, have their free continental breakfast in the morning because like I was so tight on money. But yeah, that's how I got my start. And I guess prior to me, or shortly after I retired from football full time, I just could not bring myself to do a desk job. I don't like it was so, because as an athlete, you're up and moving and going all the time, and you have that new stimulus and new challenges in your life. And I had a degree in finance, and I could have gone that route to work as a banker or a financial advisor, but I was always good at doing voices. So I was like, well, why don't I give this a try? And the stunts turned into voiceover, and then voiceover turned into acting, and then now it kind of creates the full package, if you will.
It's interesting because for me, like when I first tried to get into the TV work that I do in the podcasting, I had a lot of people give me a lecture about that's not realistic. You should get a 9 to 5. And it kind of relatable what you said, like that wasn't appealing to me. And no disrespect to anyone who does choose to go that route, but I feel as though also if you're a former athlete, a lot of people when they stop playing sports, the rest of life feels like a letdown, but you were able to find something just as exciting as sports. And so I can see why you wanted to stick with this. So there's no point in time when you're like, I'm going to be a finance bro, and
that was, I think, in my life's plan. I was trying for the NFL. If that didn't work out, I was going to be a voice actor, and then if that didn't work out, I guess I would do something with my degree. But I haven't got to that plan C yet, so
right.
It's still going strong, baby.
So I guess, yeah. In your finance classes in college, you could have just been asleep the whole time, looking back.
Now, looking back, it's a very expensive piece of paper.
Yeah.
But, I did it. I got it done in a year, so that's pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess the moral of the story here, for any kids listening, Laith is telling you, don't go to school. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what he's trying to get across. But I mean, you've done all of the acting and I also talked about how you do the body double work for Gronk in commercials. So how did you first meet him?
My cousin played football at the University of Maryland with Dan Gronkowski. And It was actually Papa Gronk that got, my cousin is Mojo Rawley. He was a wrestler in the WWE. And Papa Gronk went to college with the president of the WWE. So he got him his first shot into that world. And, they've just been family friends ever since.
Wow. And could that ever be a thing for you? Because you have the background in both performing and also athletics, which WWE kind of combines those skills. Do you have any interest in additionally doing WWE? I got a lot of respect for those guys because I've seen firsthand the life that my cousin lived. I mean, when you're in that world, you are a road warrior. You're constantly traveling, and your body, like a lot of people like to say wrestling is fake and all this stuff. I've seen the bruises and the concussions and the torn ACLs from these wrestlers who are fake, right? They're taking these shots, and there's no off season in that sport, right? So little things become big problems. And for me, if I was, I've had a couple of injuries from playing football. So if I'm going to put my body on the line, it's got to be something that I'm really passionate about. And I couldn't make that commitment because I knew how much it would take and how much it would cost. So I prefer watching my cousin run around the ring in his underwear instead. Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, you mentioned football. The toll it takes on you. I mean, I didn't play anything in the pros, but like I played college rugby, and I had concussions and different stuff from that, and you can't get the shit beaten out of you for the rest of your life. Eventually, you have to stop.
Right.
So yeah. So safe to say also you're not interested in like celebrity boxing or like beating the shit out of Logan Paul or anything like that.
Well, I have this project that I was a part of that's I'm not sure exactly when the release date is. It was called The Fight for '84. It's about the boxing Olympics in 1984 and how I believe it was Patrick Tillman won the gold for the U.S. back then. And I play one of the fighters in the movie. I'm basically kind of like the Ivan Drago of the movie. So I got a taste of boxing. I got to learn the craft, and I got to get in the ring and do a bunch of rounds on set. So I think I'm okay with doing it for fake. I took a couple real shots when I was in there, and I was
Oh,
like,
damn.
"Whoa, okay."
Yeah.
Even because it was the Olympics, so you're wearing a helmet. But even wearing a helmet, man, those guys, they take quite a beating. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just getting a taste was enough for me.
Right, but now you're doing some boxing movies, so maybe people will start calling you Laith Balboa or something like that. But that's awesome. And also, as far as the future goes, obviously with some acting projects there's some confidentiality before stuff gets released. But as far as anything you're allowed to share, what are some upcoming projects that you're excited about?
Sure. Like I said, I was just working on that. I'm the Duracell scientist, and we just wrapped a huge commercial for the World Cup that's going to be
Ooh.
coming out pretty soon. Can't tell you who's in it, but I think a lot of people around the world will know who it is when they see that person come on the screen. So excited to share that with you guys. World Cup comes out. What is it, like June or maybe late May?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Roughly, yeah.
That's gonna be really fun to see. So some to look forward there. Also, probably gonna be working on a new show called The Frisco King. I believe it's a spin-off from Tulsa King with Sly Stallone. So got a little role in that. So, but yeah, that's about it on the acting front right now.
Okay, gotcha. And also, you've played a lot of athletic roles, like the boxing,
Yeah.
movie, or playing Rob Gronkowski, and also All American, another sports thing. But and it's a good fit for you because you have your acting skills and you're also a former pro athlete, so you're kind of the perfect fit for those types of roles. But
Yeah.
do you have interest down the road in addition to the sports stuff, like maybe, I don't know, like being in a movie about being on the debate team or the school chorus, or playing non-athletes in the future?
Yeah, of course. I mean, just like anyone, you have so many different facets of your personality and stuff
Right.
like that, right? Granted, kind of like you saw with The Rock when he first came into entertainment. Basically, you have to play to your typecast, right, to get roles and opportunities. And my size is kind of undeniable, especially when I'm standing next to a 5'5" actor, right? It's hard to deny. So I've been very blessed to be able to use those gifts to my advantage. But yeah, as my career moves forward, I would love to explore different characters that are maybe more, intellectually based and complex and interesting, different characters that would challenge me and kind of get me out of my comfort zone too.
I saw Matthew McConaughey do an interview about that exact topic because when he first became a movie star, he was in a bunch of romantic comedies, and like
Yeah,
every chick on planet Earth had a crush on him, and he was just known as the hot guy in romantic comedies, and he had a ton of success doing that. But he said he got to a point
right.
in his career when he didn't want to be labeled as just a guy who does one type of movie, so he turned down some rom-com opportunities, including one that would have paid him over $30 million to be in the movie. He turned them all down because he wanted to do more dramatic acting, and he didn't want to get put in a box. So that's great, for you. You don't want to get put in a box as only someone who does, sports movies. I mean, who knows? Maybe your next movie will be, Laith the math nerd or something, or who knows? But yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
so that's awesome. You want to have a range.
Math nerd.
Yeah, Exactly. Reciting pi to the, however many decimal places. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I kind of let God guide my career, and He puts me in the roles that He wants me to be in. So it's very interesting, this line of work, because much like in life, there is so much uncertainty, right? So I kind of, on a daily basis, where if I was a financial advisor, I'd know where I was going to work, and I know the basic agenda of what I would be doing that day. In this line of work, it is so crazy and weird and last minute and ever changing that on a day-to-day basis, I have no idea what I'm going to even do tomorrow. So it's kind of like living on the edge all the time.
I know what you mean. It's funny, like this past school year, I've been announcing college sports on ESPN, and they'd schedule me game by game.
Yeah.
So it's like you didn't know there isn't even like a set schedule for the week. And sometimes, they'd be like, we're pulling you from this game in the state you live in, and you're doing another game that's a 5-hour drive tomorrow. See you there. Like, so I can relate to that. If my schedule gets any crazier, I might have to switch to just doing OnlyFans for a living. But I know the feeling, man, of the unpredictability. I feel like in the niche industries like acting, sports broadcasting, podcasting, music, all the niche industries, there's less predictability than, the 9-to-5 world, which can be fun, but can also drive you insane. And how do you talked about like playing arena football where you don't get paid NFL money or have a comfortable lifestyle like NFL players, and then trying to break into acting, and you talked about like staying in a guy's basement when you were, because you had limited funds when you were auditioning. How have you kind of managed the crazy lifestyle and not lost your mind and been able to kind of overcome that and have the success you've had?
Right. So because of what I do a little bit of everything, right? I do the movies, the TV shows, commercial work. I'm the High Noon Lifestyle Guard, the Duracell Scientist. I do a lot of voiceover work. I work in video games. I was Silex in the new Metroid Prime video game that just came out. I'm going to be the lead in the new UFC video game that comes out, I believe, next year, maybe. So because I do so many different things within the craft, I have multiple streams of income, right? And I have gotten really good at living beneath my means. I know what it's like to be poor, so I don't really need a lot, right? So if things ever slow down or anything like that, I'm not coming to an audition like, I got to get this job so I can eat. You know what I mean? I take good care of my money, and I'm comfortable. So I can kind of plan just in case some of these things happen.
Yeah, I mean that makes a ton of sense, and that's smart also though, that when you make money you save it, because you don't know how many things you're going to get booked for in the future, and that's a mistake I think some people make. Maybe if it's like their first time getting a big check off of acting, they're like, I'm going to go out and party. Some athletes make that mistake when they first get drafted.
Yeah.
Pro athletes wasting money, not saving while they're still playing. So, I mean, I think that's really smart. You mentioned also all of the different stuff you're going to be in. Laith failed to mention he's also playing the character of Leverett Ball in a movie called Douchebag coming next year. So you already play Gronk. I'll bet you're excited to play me as well. But
I've been taking notes this entire interview.
Oh yeah, exactly. This is part of his studying for that role.
But Mike is coming in the mail, baby. I got it down.
hell yeah, man. Yeah. But then I guess also with everything you're doing moving forward, how do you find time for other parts of your life? Like relationships, family, friends, how are you able to maintain that part of your life when you have like 25 jobs?
Right. I'm not gonna lie to you. Lately, I have been sleeping in, and it's been nice. I've been
nice
at like 10 a.m. every morning.
Hell yeah!
But kind of in my world, you got to sleep when you can get it, right?
Right.
So I've been married for 2 years now, and the wonderful thing about my wife is she does hair, right? She does hair extensions for a living. So whenever I work as the Duracell scientist, I bring Mrs. Duracell with me, and she does my hair on set. So we get to travel to all these cool different places, and I get, we get to go as a family. So it's really nice. So that's a perk of the job. But really, it's just you make time for things you care about, right? And if you can get your butt up before 10 a.m. and knock your work out early in the day, you can spend a nice evening together. You can go grab dinner. You can go, walk around in the park or anything like that. There's a difference between spending time and having intimacy, right? Where you're actually talking with one another, getting to know one another on a deeper level. And a lot of people don't really know how to redeem that time with their partners, right? So I really try and make an emphasis of that and show up for my partner as much as I can.
Well, and that's great. Also, you mentioned, I feel as though in a profession like acting, you need your significant other to be supportive of you pursuing your dreams and not shoot you down or tell you get a 9 to 5, to support you pursuing your passion. So that's great that your wife has had such a positive impact on you.
Right, because you watch a lot of interviews with actors who are extremely successful. You see them all over the place. You guys should know that is the point, the 1% of
right.
the acting workforce, right? I can't remember the stats. It's like, I don't know, I want to say 80% don't even qualify for SAG health insurance, right? So there's a lot of working, struggling actors out there, and for me to be able to do this full time is such a blessing. Like, I get to create and do something I love. Like, how fortunate am I?
Laith, obviously, everyone listening to this podcast wants to keep up with everything you're involved in, and
sure.
Before we wrap things up, where can people follow you on social media? And also, do you have any public appearances or events you're going to be at?
You can find me at Laith Chaz, LAITHCHAZ on Instagram. I'm doing a better job. I'm trying to post somewhat regularly. Throw me a like if you can. I'll follow you back. In terms of public appearance, I think we're doing something for Duracell later this month around the F1 race in Miami. So if you happen to be around, come look me up. I'll give you some free batteries.
Perfect. That sounds like a great deal. And also, obviously I appreciate your time today, but before we close things, what advice would you have for anyone who's maybe trying to be an actor, following your footsteps as far as kind of how to get their foot in the door and how to handle the crazy lifestyle?
Sure. So I would say that to any person who wants to act or who has that desire, number one, you only get one life, and it goes by fast. I remember when I was playing college sports, all the coaches used to tell me that as I was getting my head beat in at practice. It was just brutal. And now looking back, it does go by so fast. So if you're going to do it, do it. And second of all, I would say that each one of you are so unique and are such a blessing. And every single one of us has our own innate traits and unique quirks and characteristics, right? So use your God-given abilities to your advantage. And that is what's going to set you apart from the rest of the crowd, right? And yeah, always listen to your intuition, right? That kind of voice in the back of your head, not the one that lies to you and tells you don't do it, but
right.
That if you really, really slow down and listen, your intuition will guide you in the right direction.
100%. I think that's great for anyone to hear if they're pursuing acting or setting any type of lofty goal, to kind of trust that intuition. Yeah. And keep pursuing what they want to pursue. But 100%.
And last thing is, a lot of people tie their identity to what they do or their accomplishments or something like that. And if you live that way, then you're only going to be as good as your last win, right? So
Yes.
carrying yourself, knowing that you are a wonderful gift and a blessing, man, you can just inject that love into whatever it is that you do so that you can do it at the highest ability. And then you can walk away. I can't tell you, I've done thousands of auditions that I haven't gotten. I do them, I do my best effort, and I let them go. And I let God guide my career.
100%. And I think that's great advice for literally anyone, regardless of whether they're trying to do what you do. So, I'm sure our audience really appreciates that insight. But once again, everyone, that was Laith Wallschleger. Check out his 200 different acting projects that are out there. Safe to say he's a pretty busy guy. But you have been listening to the Leverett Ball Show. Thanks for tuning in.